It says I'm live. I guess I am. Let me check. Yep, I'm live. You know what? This goofy microphone, I'm going to bump it just a tad. It's probably too loud again. This one is so sensitive. If I move it a fraction. All right. Greetings, friends. And I was going to wait until the first day of the new year to change my greeting, but boys and girls sounds like a bunch of little kids are watching the channel. And I'm sure there's adults. So we're all friends here. So greetings, friends. And you know what? You know, when I put this mic away, I must have forgot to tighten this arm. Yeah, because things got all discombobulated. Friends, I got to tell you, when I went in to check, I almost fell off my chair. I'm up to 28. I'm up to 28. I got a new subscriber last night, and whoever you are, God love you. Please, 2 more before midnight. 2 more before midnight tomorrow. Please, get me to 30. Get me to 30. Make a grumpy old man happy. Get me to 30 tomorrow. I want to open my YouTube and see 30. All I need is 2 more. 2 more. You know, I guess watching the other YouTube channels with this, please subscribe. It worked. I gained 1 person last night. That's all it takes. That's all it takes. If I could get 1 a day, just think if I could get 1 a day. I'm begging for 2. 2 more. 2 more people, please. Make a 72-year-old crab ass happy. 2 more. I'm not begging for thousands. I'd like to see 30 subscribers by tomorrow midnight, preferably before. It would be nice to check my YouTube tomorrow and open it up and see subscribers, 30. I know it's asking a lot. Who the hell wants to hear a crab-ass old man on YouTube all the time? But, you know, like I explained yesterday, this makes me feel as if I actually had gotten my international broadcasting certificate from the Wixie School of Broadcast Technique and maybe got a job doing radio because I have the face for radio, definitely. Not for TV, but I got the face for radio. Although I'll tell you what, the best time of my life, and for anybody else, you know, it would have been the boringest ass position because I didn't get paid. I sat in a booth that was about maybe 6x6. And I had a soundboard in front of me so that I could do all the presets, and a mic hanging down. The mics hung down. They weren't like this where it mounted this way. And there was a thick, it was like today's thermal pane windows. It was 2 panes of glass, and the studio engineer sat on the other side. Now, the engineering room was huge because it had TV monitors, and he had to keep track of, and the soundboard was huge, and basically he controlled the station. And when it came time for me to do my little bit, I would see the finger point, and then I would watch for the red light to come on that was out of sight. And at that point, I had to hit my mic switch and do, it's now midnight. And whatever, it's 12:01, and the weather at the lakefront is 47 degrees and rain, and followed by whatever. I always wanted, and you couldn't screw around, but I always wanted to do the old George Carlin thing, where the weather forecast, dark. And tonight it'll be continued dark with widely scattered light in the morning. I always thought that George Carlin, although, believe me, I can't put the spin on it like George Carlin used to. But that's what this does. It makes me feel like I actually got a broadcast job. Because this is basically what a radio, personalities, you don't see him. He could be standing there in his, BVDs. Who sees you? Nobody. That's why they always make the joke, a grumpy old man's got the face for radio. It would have it would have been nice to get our certificates and actually see if we could have got an on-air job. Now, a greenhorn like we were, you're not going to get, a morning or an afternoon drive job. You're going to get the graveyard job. And most of the times, because I did a couple of Friday night stints at a local radio station in Cleveland. It wasn't Wixie. Matter of fact, I don't even know if that radio station is still, I'll have to check. I don't want to give the call letters because but I came in and I did the 12 p.m. to 6 a.m. I think it was 3 Fridays. I did 3 Fridays. And we still played records in the day. It wasn't like it is nowadays where they click on a computer and everything's all preloaded. That's when John Lanigan had announced his retirement. I actually got to go into the station. As a matter of fact, I sat across from him at the desk, and They had a webcam. I wish there would have been some way I could have saved it, because the webcam, I knew where the webcam was, so I picked a spot at the desk where the webcam would show me in the station. And when it came time for Lanigan to play a song, he just clicked on, all he did was mouse pointer and click. I mean, that's how advanced these radio stations are today. Everything was preloaded. He just went down did a commercial before the song. So he clicked, set it up, commercial, song, play. It played the commercial and then went right into the music. But back when we were learning, we still played records. And I came into the station, and it was just me and the engineer. There were just two of us, that's it, because they weren't conducting business. There was nobody in the front office. There was a security guard up front, but I mean, it was me and the engineer, and I got a program and a stack of 45s, and they were in order, and the weather. So basically, I was like a robot, sit there. But it gave me actual radio station experience. And then, I checked, we were 9 months into the course. We had 3 months to go. And the 3 months was a bunch of theory. That's all it was. For that last 3 months, we barely left the station, because they judged us on our performance at between the 6 and the 9 month period. And then to be, kicked in the ass, basically, it sucked. There were 10 of us. All 10 of us lost $1,000 apiece. I don't know if any of the other guys tried suing. What we should have done was all 10 of us should have got together, and then, an attorney fee wouldn't have been that expensive. But, it was like trying to get blood out of a rock. By the time we got done, what would we had? We wouldn't have had our broadcast certificates. That's what we actually wanted to when we were discussing it. We wanted to sue for our certificates. Not so much the money. I mean, I would have liked the money back. But I would have liked to have the certificate. The only problem, and it still exists to this day, although it was worse back in the 70s, because you might have got hired at a radio station that was like almost out in the middle of a cornfield. You were out in the country somewhere where maybe you might have had a listening audience of 2 people. I mean, some radio stations weren't that powerful back in the day. And you weren't paid to travel. Say I would have got a job at a radio station, say like at Amarillo, Texas. I had to travel out there. First of all, you had to go out there for the interview. And then if you didn't get hired, and if you did get hired, you had to find an apartment, somewhere to live. And disc jockeys weren't getting paid that much back in the day. So, it was a huge risk. But if you were popular enough, that little podunk station, maybe an intermediate station that was a little more up the ladder would say, hey, we like this guy's style. We're going to make him an offer. And, eventually you would work up to that morning drive or afternoon drive position. Because, let's face it, people are listening mainly to the radio on their way to work or their way home. The golden job is what they call morning drive. Because the survey said that was your maximum amount of listeners was in the morning, which was like 6 to 10. And then you had your 10 to 2 or 10 to 3, and then you're like 3 to 7, every station had different hours. But the two cherished positions were the morning drive and the rush hour. Some stations called it the rush hour drive. Some called it the afternoon drive. Because that's when you had your, what they call captivated listeners. You were in your car, and it wasn't like today where you pull out your iPod or, and you had a bunch of preloaded music. If you wanted, to pass the boredom of rush hour, you listen to the radio. And your captivated listeners were your morning, when people were driving to work, and the afternoon when they were going home. Once people got home, very few people had the radios on. Unless there was like, a ball game. Baseball, basketball, football, or something of interest. I had a friend that worked for an FM station here in Cleveland for quite a while. He had the graveyard shift. And it was funny because I worked with his wife, and she happened to have a mouse pad on her desk that had the radio station logo. And I said, wow, where did you get that? And she goes, I got it from my husband. I said, well, where did he get it? And she goes, well, he works for the station. He's a disc jockey. I said, so who is he? And she told me, and she goes, he does the 12 to 6. Well, that was one reason I didn't know who he was, because I wasn't listening to the radio after midnight. But once I found out, I listened. I tuned in. And I liked his style. Even though he admitted, he goes, I don't have that big listening audience. He had the style that basically he could have been a morning drive or an afternoon drive person. But radio stations want big names. like Lanigan. You know, Lanigan was known nationwide because he had been so many radio stations over the years. And then when he got to Cleveland, you know, had the morning drive slot, the word gets out. And with computers and what is that, iHeartRadio, you know, or something like that, people that knew him from, say, Nebraska could listen to him. You know, that's the wonder of the internet. I miss hearing him in the morning. Of course, you know, he had been morning drive in Cleveland for so many years that, you know, it's like losing an old friend. I tune in now and I'm like, who is this guy? Even though I know who he is. But to me, the guy's a dead fish. I think I got more radio personality than he does. And I ain't saying much. But that's what this does for me. You know, I would like to have 10, 15,000 subscribers. It would be nice to make a little money off of this. But I was ecstatic to see the number go from 27 to 28 today. I'd like to check tomorrow and it be at 30. So if you could, please, two more people. That's all I need. 2 more people before midnight tomorrow. 2 more. And I'm still kicking around whether I'm going to do an end of the year type. I don't know if people could put up with me for, 2 hours, because I was thinking of coming on at 10, going 10 to midnight, but I can see people doing the old forehead slap right now going, listen to this guy for 2 hours? I can't take when he goes over 30 minutes. Just saying. You know, that's the wonder of YouTube. It gives people a platform. And after being, cheated out of a graduation diploma and becoming a certified broadcaster, this brings me back to those times. That's why I do it. I'm not regular. I should set a time. I'm going to be on at a certain time, but I don't think about it. I should, Although this isn't my job. It's not like I'm at a radio station, but in a way I am. So all of you out there that wonder, what the hell is this old man doing? I'm reliving those days of when I might have been a real disc jockey. I don't know if I would have made it. You never know. I don't think I would have ever been, a Lanigan. But it would be nice, to be at a radio station and, go through a mall and everybody go, oh, look, run over and get Dale's autograph, He's disc jockey on K672, whatever radio station. That would have been nice. Not that I'm looking to be a big personality, but because, like Lanigan said, after a while, it does get to be a pain in the ass. Your privacy isn't your own. Everywhere you go, somebody's bugging you. And maybe you don't want to be bugged, but you can't piss people off because that's your audience. Like a friend of mine who sold advertising, he always used to say, you can spend thousands of dollars on advertising, and it won't get you as much as word of mouth. Because word of mouth will either make you or break you. Because, like he said, one person tells this person and they tell that person and that person and that person and that person. And it just goes on. And he goes, you would rather have people say good things about you than bad things about you. And he sold advertising. I was like, Norman, you don't want to tell your customers that. But say a customer had a keychain from your business and someone say, where'd you get that keychain? Oh, I got it from, Joe Fabietz's barbershop. Well, do you go there? Yeah, that guy does a hell of a job. And your friend goes, well, maybe I'll try him next. And if he's satisfied, then he's going to, and it just. But if your buddy screws up a haircut, you think your friend is going to hip him up? And they say, hey, that guy used a chainsaw to cut my hair. But please, 2 more people, 2 more. That's all I want to see. 30. Then maybe, I'll beg next year for more, but I'd like to see 30. It amazed me to see 28 today. Subscribe, please. 2 more. That's all I get. 2 more. I'm not asking for the world. Make an old man happy for, 2024. And with that, I'm going to quit begging. I'm just going to say 2 more, please. 2 more. 2 more, please. 2.